To understand why this lost map was buried inside a Sumerian tomb, we have to begin with the person buried beside it. Because the map was not placed in a temple archive, it was not carved on a public wall, it was not left in a palace library where kings, priests, or scribes could study it. It was hidden with the dead. That detail changes everything. A map in an archive preserves knowledge. A map in a tomb removes knowledge from the living world. So the first question is not simply, where does the map lead? The first question is, who was buried with it? Because according to the darker reading of the story, the person inside the tomb may have been the last one who knew where the first entrance below earth was hidden, not the second entrance, not one gate among many, the first, the original threshold, the earliest known point where the world of men was believed to touch the hidden world beneath. That is why this tomb feels less like a grave and more like a seal. The Sumerians did not treat burial casually. A tomb was not only a place for a body, it was a controlled space between the living and the dead, between memory and silence, between what could be spoken and what had to be carried away. Offerings were placed with the dead. Seals were placed with the dead. Names were preserved for the dead. But a map to the first entrance? That is different. That suggests the person was buried not only with possessions, but with dangerous knowledge. That is the first open loop. Was he honored because he guarded the map, or buried because he knew too much? Imagine the tomb at the moment it was sealed. No crowd fills the chamber. No public mourning echoes through the city. Only a small group of priests stand under oil light, their faces still and pale. The body lies wrapped and prepared, but the room does not feel like a place of grief. It feels like a place of caution. Beside the body, they place the map. Not in his hands, not over his heart, near his mouth. That placement matters inside the story. Because if knowledge survives through speech, then placing the map near the mouth of the dead may have meant one thing. Let the one who knew the route carry it into silence. Then the priests cover the map. They seal the chamber, they erase the outer marks, and the city above continues as if nothing dangerous has been buried beneath it. But the map remains, waiting in the tomb, not for the dead. For the moment the living forget why it was hidden. When the markings are finally decoded, they do not describe a normal road. There are no trade routes, no canals, no city walls, no proud names of kings. The map begins near sacred ground, then it moves downward, beneath old foundations, past deep water signs, through a zone marked by silence, toward a symbol drawn like a sealed mouth in the earth. The first entrance, that is the second open loop. What made this entrance first? The name suggests origin, not just the first entrance on the map, but the first entrance in memory, the one that came before later gates, later tunnels, later underworld roads, later stories of descent. If later cultures remembered doors below the earth, maybe they were echoes of this. If later priests warned against sealed thresholds, maybe the fear began here. If later myths spoke of people or gods entering the lower world, maybe the first entrance was the original place where that crossing became possible. And if that is true, then the map was not buried because it was useless. It was buried because it was too important, too dangerous to destroy, too dangerous to preserve openly. So they placed it with someone who would never speak again. But why inside a tomb? Why not burn it? Why not break it? Why not cast it into the river? Because some ancient knowledge was not destroyed. It was transferred from the living to the dead, from speech to silence, from the surface world to the sealed world below. The tomb became the perfect hiding place because it was already a boundary. No ordinary person enters a tomb without fear. No priest opens a burial chamber without ritual. No king wants to disturb the dead unless desperation has already overcome wisdom. A tomb protects secrets because it frightens the living away, at least for a time. But time changes everything. The priesthood disappears, the city falls, the language dies, the tomb becomes a ruin. The warning becomes an artifact, and eventually hands break the seal, not with evil intent, with curiosity. That is how the living always return to forbidden places. They say they are studying, they say they are preserving, they say the dead no longer need what was buried with them. And maybe they are right, but ancient warnings do not care why the seal is broken. They only know that it is. Now imagine the tomb after thousands of years. The entrance is found beneath collapsed brick and packed earth. The air inside is stale and dry. Dust lies thick over everything. The body is almost gone, but the objects remain. Fragments of vessels, small seals, a darkened offering bowl, and near the skull, a folded or inscribed map surface. At first it seems ceremonial, a guide for the dead, a symbolic route into the afterlife. That would be comforting. But then the first lines are translated. The map is not guiding the dead to judgment. It is pointing the living toward an entrance, the first entrance below earth. That realization changes the tomb completely. It means the person inside may not have been an ordinary noble, priest, or scribe. He may have been a guardian, a keeper of the route, someone entrusted with the location of the threshold no one was supposed to approach. And when he died, or was made to die, the route was buried with him. That is the third open loop. Did the guardian die naturally, or was his tomb the final act of containment? The map itself hints at danger near the route. There are symbols of water, silence, boundary, and warning. But there is also a strange mark near the body's position, as if the person buried with the map was part of the seal. Not just a carrier, a lock. That suggests the tomb may have had a double function, to bury the dead and to bind the knowledge. Because the first entrance was not only a place, it was a risk, a passage to the hidden world below earth. And if the route survived in human memory, sooner or later someone would follow it. Now we have to follow the route on the tomb map, because the first thing it reveals is that the entrance was not located in the wilderness. It was connected to sacred ground. That is important. If the first entrance were only a cave in a distant mountain, the danger would be easier to contain. You could hide the path. You could forbid travel. You could surround the region with stories of death and curses. But this entrance appears tied to foundations, to places where humans built temples, cities, and ritual spaces. That means the first entrance was not beyond civilization. It was beneath it. The route begins with a foundation symbol, then a descent mark, then water. This sequence matters. Foundation first, descent second, water third. The map seems to say that before anyone reaches the hidden world, they must pass below what mankind built and into what existed before mankind built anything. That is the deeper meaning. Human civilization is the roof. The first entrance is below the floor. The watermark appears again beside the next section of the route. Not surface water, but deep water. The kind ancient traditions often connected with creation, underworld passage, and hidden wisdom. This suggests the route required crossing a boundary of water, perhaps a subterranean channel, a sacred basin, a well, or a symbolic passage into the deep. Water is the first test, because water changes everything it touches. It erases footprints, it distorts reflections, it carries sound strangely. It makes the traveler unsure whether he is descending into earth or entering another layer of the world. Then comes silence. The silence symbol on this map is stronger than on the others. It appears repeated 3 times before the entrance. That cannot be accidental. It suggests the traveler was not simply warned to be quiet. He was commanded to abandon speech. No names, no questions, no prayers spoken aloud, no calling back to those above. Because near the first entrance, sound itself becomes dangerous. In ancient logic, this makes sense. A name could summon, a word could invite, a spoken route could become an opening. The closer a person came to the threshold, the more dangerous language became. That may explain why the map was buried with the one who knew. The safest mouth is the mouth that no longer speaks. Now picture the guardian during life. He is not famous. He is not a king. His name is perhaps deliberately damaged or absent. He lives close to the temple, but not in public honor. People know he has a role, but not its full meaning. He carries keys that open no ordinary door. He attends rituals no crowd ever sees. He disappears for hours beneath the foundations. And when asked where he goes, he answers only, "Below the first stone." That phrase becomes a rumor. Some think he tends hidden water. Some think he speaks to the dead. Some think he guards a burial vault. But the priests know the truth. He knows the route to the first entrance, and that knowledge makes him necessary, until it makes him dangerous. Because a living guardian can be pressured. A king can demand the route. An enemy can capture him. A priesthood can fracture. A desperate city can force him to open what should remain sealed. So when the guardian dies, they make sure the route dies with him. Or at least, that is what they believe. But the map survives. And the map shows more than a path. It shows a warning near the final descent. The entrance is not drawn as open. It is drawn as sealed. But beside the seal is a return mark, small, almost hidden. This is the detail that turns the tomb map into a nightmare. A sealed entrance should not need a return mark, unless something once came back through it. That raises the most frightening possibility of all. The first entrance was not only used by humans going down. It may have been used by something coming up. Maybe this is why the Guardian was buried with the map. He was not only guarding the root from the living, he was guarding the living from the root. The final part of the map shows the threshold itself, an enclosed symbol beneath water and silence, surrounded by boundary marks. It is not decorated like a sacred shrine. It is not drawn like a doorway to blessing. It looks like a wound that was closed. And wounds can reopen. Imagine the first time the Guardian was taken to see it. He is young, barely old enough to understand why the older priest will not speak on the way down. They descend beneath the temple. The air cools. The sound of the city disappears. Water glistens along the wall. Finally, they reach a chamber where the floor slopes toward a black stone set into the earth. The older priest points to it but does not touch. The young Guardian waits for an explanation. The priest draws a sign in dust. First entrance. Then he wipes it away immediately. That is how forbidden knowledge is taught. Enough to preserve, not enough to awaken. Years pass. The young Guardian becomes old. He learns the signs, the rites, the silences. He learns that the entrance does not open by force. It opens by condition. Water rising, foundation shaking, name spoken, silence failing. And most dangerous of all, the route being remembered by the wrong people. That final condition explains everything. The map is dangerous because it remembers the route. And when the route is remembered, the first entrance is no longer fully forgotten. This is why the tomb was sealed so carefully, not to honor a man, to bury a memory. But the map's final symbol suggests the priest may have failed. Beside the first entrance, near the return mark, there is another sign, a watcher, or something close to it, a figure placed not on the human side of the entrance, but beyond it. That means the mapmaker believed the other side was not empty. Something was aware of the threshold. Something had watched the route before. And if the living ever decoded the map again, they might not be the only ones rediscovering it. The first entrance might remember them too. By this point, the tomb map has revealed 3 terrifying ideas. The person buried with it may have been the guardian of the route. The tomb may have been built to bury the knowledge, not merely the dead. And the first entrance below Earth may have a return mark because something once came back through it. Now the final question becomes unavoidable. If the tomb was opened and the map decoded, has the first entrance already begun to remember the way back? And now we reach the reason the map was buried with the dead. Not because the Guardian knew the route, because the route knew him. That is the detail hidden in the final symbols. The map does not only show the first entrance below Earth, it shows a watcher beyond it, a presence placed on the other side of the threshold facing the route back toward the world of men. For thousands of years, the Guardian's tomb kept the knowledge silent. His mouth could not speak, his hands could not point, his body could not lead anyone down. But when the tomb was opened, the silence broke. The map returned to the living, the route was decoded, and the first entrance, once forgotten, was remembered again. That is when the final warning becomes clear. When the dead man's road is spoken, the entrance remembers the living. Imagine the tomb chamber in that moment. The skull lies beside the map. The dust is thick. The old seals are broken. Someone reads the route aloud slowly, trying to understand the signs. Foundation, descent, deep water, silence, the first entrance, and then the chamber changes. Not dramatically, not with fire or screaming, just a shift in the air. A cold breath from somewhere below, a faint vibration beneath the floor, a sound like stone moving far away under the earth. The Guardian was not buried with the map to guide him into death. He was buried with it so the living would never speak the route again. But now they have. And if the map is right, the first entrance is no longer fully asleep. It has begun to remember. So what does the lost map found in the Sumerian tomb really reveal? A dead guardian, a hidden route, a threshold below earth marked as the first entrance, and a warning that the knowledge was not placed in the tomb as honor, but as containment. Maybe this was only symbolic. Maybe the map was a ritual guide for the dead, a mythic descent into the underworld, or a sacred image of the journey beyond life. Maybe the first entrance was not a physical doorway, but the oldest boundary between the living and the hidden world beneath them. But even as myth, the message is chilling. Some knowledge is buried with the dead because the living cannot be trusted with it. The tomb was not just a grave, it was a lock. The Guardian was not just a corpse, he was a seal. And the map was not just an artifact, it was the memory of a route no one was supposed to follow again. In the end, the most frightening part is not that the map points to the first entrance below Earth. It is that the tomb has already been opened. And once the route returns to the living world, the question is no longer whether the entrance exists. The question is whether it has already heard us. And if this lost map in a Sumerian tomb points to the first entrance below Earth, there is another forbidden map that reveals the full route to the first gate. Watch that video next, because once you understand why the Guardian was buried with the map, the first gate stops sounding like a destination and starts sounding like the thing he died to keep hidden.